only a 10-second countdown this time, guys. I had, for some reason, I gained another one. I had one for a minute, and I have one for 10 seconds, and I clicked on the wrong one because I should have only had one. I got to mute my other computer here. I don't need my 10-second delay in hearing my countdown on the laptop. And I definitely don't want to hear my voice twice because once is bad enough. So,
Exactly.
So I'm going to say hi to everybody on the panel tonight. We got Chuck is here. We got Mr. Stewart, Randall, Gustavo, Joe Stroud. Probably won't be able to make it tonight. He may try to get in here if he can. He just recently moved, so we all know what that's like. Kind of hard to do anything else once you're trying to settle into a new place. But he did send us some images that we get to look at, and also what else is going on other than the weather? Very hot in Australia. Terry is talking about 97 degrees, and I think where I am right now, let's see, Myrtle Beach is 51. Yeah, they are 51 degrees right now. So that's a bit of a difference.
We're a nice warm -12.
-12. C, -12 C. But anyway, let's say hi to everybody. We'll see who we got in here. We got Terry in here, and we got Woody is here, and Robert's in the house. Patrick Garrett.
And there's James Arafoto.
James is here. J Rod is here. Oh man is here. Good to see you. I don't know if you've been here for a while. You might have been gone for a little bit. Robert Varner is in the house. Roy is in the chat tonight, at least for a little while anyway. And we're gonna wait till we get some more people in here. A few more people anyway.
So how many photos do we have, Jeff?
We have 91 images. We have 91 images, of which 90 came in the last hour. I'm only joking. A lot of them came near the end, which I'm used to. I'm used to that, so that's fine. As long as we get them, that's all I care about. I get nervous though when we're like, halfway to the next show when you got like 20 pictures, you start going, oh no. And we're gonna have to bribe Chuck, I think, to get some images in here.
You gotta get some done.
I think we got somebody else in the. We got Roy sneaking in here. If I can get my mouse to stop turning things off when it's not supposed to. I got to change our sizing here so we can fit everybody in.
Good evening, Roy.
Now we got Roy.
Good afternoon.
You got your AC cranked up and running?
I have down here. I went up to the other room and nearly melted, so I've come down again. I've got to turn the air conditioning on up there.
Be glad you're not bringing up a bag of M&Ms with you. It would have been all melted.
Yeah.
The M&Ms would have a bad day.
They would. I feel like I've had it instead.
But we've got, as I said before, you heard in the chat, I'm sure we have 91 images, so we have quite a few to go through, and we'll wait like another 1 or 2 minutes. Any of you guys on the panel have anything that you want to share with us that you did? And obviously, Chuck's had three shows now, so tonight he gets to kick back and relax a little bit. He survived the first month, and he gets 1 weekend off, kind of, sorta, and then he has to get back in gear again. So, how did it feel, Chuck?
It was good. It really was. But I just haven't got enough. I hadn't got enough thought to use. So
Whew.
But it's good that we have this crazy cast of characters that are nice enough to join both our shows.
yeah,
You know, yeah. No, like, don't ask me to point on the computer. It doesn't work. I got up. I can do up and down. You see, it's left and right. It's the problem. There we go. Yeah, there wasn't. I think I only went shooting one day this week. And my friend Bob wasn't feeling too well, so he's better now. So we're gonna get out probably Monday again. But when I went out and I did, I walked through a long trail. I forgot how long the trail was. I got into the woods and I'm like, oh boy, this is taking me forever to pop out at the other end. And then, of course, when I pop out at the other end, I'm probably over a mile away from my car walking back. So I had to walk. Then I had to walk back to the car. And the sad thing is, I did all this walking, and I don't even think I took one. There wasn't anything to take a picture of the whole time I walked through the woods. I mean, I'm looking, and absolutely nothing. And I did all that walking, and I did not even come away with one picture. And that probably that steams you a little bit,
yeah.
I might have done better just sitting in one place, and
At least you got the exercise done.
well, I needed the exercise, but it's like it'd be more joyful if you had like found an owl or something, because supposedly there was an owl in there. But in the park there, you do get some owls, but we don't really have a lot of huge trees that have holes in them where they can nest. I mean, lots of times they're just sitting in a V. They're sitting in a V of a tree or whatever, but it's kind of like they're passing through and having lunch, and then they head back to wherever their nesting is. But less than a mile down the road at Brook Green Gardens, they have huge live oaks, and I mean with gigantic sized branches with lots of holes in them, and that's where the birds like to. If you're going to see an owl, that's where you're going to see the owl. But we got 29 people in here. Let's see who else we got in, and then we'll get started. We got Jose Mello from Mass. Who is Seraphin is here. Art Bear Ted is here. Hello, Ted. How you doing? Real Nikon lover Jim is here. Jim sent in a very, very large image. And we'll leave it at that. Greg is here. Robert says he didn't have a chance to put any images together this month. That's all right. If Greg and you sent some in, we probably would have hit the 100 mark tonight. Luke S is here. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I hope I did not. But we're going to get started here because it's going to be a full 3 hours, I'm sure. So we might as well let me share the screen. And like I said, I'll rely on the cast of characters to the side of me here to help interrupt me when people come in or anybody leaves a comment, because you're on my laptop screen to my right, but obviously I'm focusing on the screen in front of me where I won't be able to see the chat at all. So I apologize if I do not react to a comment right away. So my partners in crime here will try to keep me honest and make sure we don't miss anything important.
I put the place to connect in case somebody wants to join again. And if you are able to join, we will put a message on the private chat so that we can alert Jeff that there is any body waiting in the green room.
Yeah, and I did put if you go to the third entry here in the chat, third one down has the link to the show for anybody who wants to come on. That one did not work.
No, it did work.
Oh, it did work. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we should be good for anybody who wants to come in and talk about their own images. So I'm gonna get the
Unless they're from Australia.
And I'm gonna go to share.
Ooh.
And I'm going to make it bigger.
Oh my God.
And then I'm going to, I got to bring up my cheat sheet. So bear with me.
Another great shot, Terry.
Oh, as usual.
So we start off with a shot from Terry. Terry was nice enough. He sent in. He was thinking of me worrying about not having enough pictures. So he sent me 2 waves of pictures. So we've got the first wave, and then we'll have some other people's shots, and then we'll have another wave of Terry pictures, which I have no complaints over that. So when I first saw this picture, I thought those were alien eggs or something, on our shoreline. And he was like doing a photo shoot for a sci-fi movie or something. But he says that this was one of his old favorites from a trip to South Island of New Zealand in 2015. And he says, and the bonus we had at the last day traveling to the Christchurch airport for departure. And he says early in the morning before sunrise, we stopped at the Meraki Boulders Beach in case we could have some luck with the boulders and the waves in the morning light. And this is what he got. So I would say he did have more than some luck. And and it was wonderful how he, obviously you'll see from the settings here that he slowed down his shutter speed quite a bit to get that milky look around those boulders. So he had his Canon EOS 5D SR with a Canon 16-35 f2.8. He was at 25 millimeters, f18, exposure compensation minus 1.7 stops, and 1/1.6 seconds, and ISO 50. So he got it good. I mean, it's.
Yeah, but what the hell are those? That's what I want to know.
No doubt about it. But those things, they're the weirdest looking boulders I ever saw. That's all I have to say.
Exactly.
Very, very freaky looking. Looks like something out of an alien movie.
Terry need to tell us what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he can. He might have been the only one that survived that trip. I don't know. But anyway, wonderful job.
It is beautiful.
You could see a few more there to the like 3/4 or 60% of the way up in the frame on the left. You got a couple of them, and then you got another one to the left of the sun. A little bit forward of that, but to the left. So I mean, I guess definitely that's unusual. That's unusual. But his next shot. This is a close-up of a blue moon butterfly in a butterfly house at the Melbourne Zoo. And so this was the Z9 with the 100-400 at 400 millimeters, f5.6, 1/125th of a second, exposure comp minus 0.3, and ISO 280.
Oh my God!
Yeah, nice. Totally dissolved background, and just enough area of sharpness to a little bit on the plant, and the whole moth looks good. Very good. Mothra would be proud of you.
So Jeff, Terry said that if you break those things, they are hollow with something like crystals.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So Terry, you know that I'm a geologist and I don't know what those things are. So
Yeah. So I wonder if they sell, like if they have smaller ones, if they break them open or cut them in half and sell them in gift
like
shops.
yours, uh, yeah, if it looks like a concretion, which would be the geological term for that, I don't know what is that kind of color in the cracks that look like gold color. So
Yeah.
strange. Hey Terry, don't make me go to New Zealand.
Well, you're gonna the next shot. If you'll have other shots that he'll take that'll make you want to go there.
Oh, beautiful.
This is let's see. I guess yeah, that's weird. I don't know why it says it's shot number 2 when it's actually shot number 3, but um, anyway, this is he took this. He says he's not sure where this is from, but um, he says, but only just from north of New South Wales. He says he loved the layers,
Yes.
and he didn't do anything to the photo but adjust the blue of the sea. That's the only thing he changed. And once again, with the shooting with the Canon, this time again the 5 DSR with the 70-200 f4 at 183 millimeters f11, 1/350th of a second, exposure comp minus 0.3 at ISO 100. And then you can see a bird in there too. I see a bird.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Love it. Just the position of all the plains of the mountains. Wow.
Yeah. So that bird makes this a wildlife photo.
It's a wildlife photo now, baby. You're converting you.
Wow.
Very nice. It's kind of surreal looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then his next shot that he sent is of this. It's, let's just say, busy. Terry was busy as a bee getting this one. Bee in a cherry tree at Cherry Hill Orchards east of Melbourne. This is with the Z9 with the 105 millimeter macro lens f2.8. Excuse me, f3.2, 1/200th of a second, ISO 64.
Wow. A really stunning image.
Yep, yep.
So you didn't need to go that much closer. I mean, you get closer, you get a good photo, but I think you get a good move at this distance, right?
Yeah.
Sufficient on the V, but still, these out of focus flowers look fantastic.
Yep.
If anything, Terry, maybe a portrait cut will work as well, correct?
Yeah, vertical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those shots where you can have a lot of fun with a shot like that.
Yeah.
And then the last shot he sent in from his first batch here. We'll bring this one up. And this is a black and white, obviously, from, Terry, don't make me pronounce these big words. Blairgowrie, Blairgowrie, Blairgowrie at Rabbit Rock Beach, Victoria. These are called the Three Sisters.
I like
And
that.
on the other side of the ocean is the Three Brothers. Kidding. Canon once again, 5 DSR, 70-200 f4, 180 millimeter focal length, f16, 180 seconds, and ISO 50. And he says he thinks he'd used a 3-stop ND on this.
So I presume this is in a shoreline, Terry, correct? And then you blow. You the long exposure make all the kind of blurry of the waves or of the water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you-
the same with the clouds too.
Yes.
yeah.
It's a long exposure
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah, the clouds were probably moving as well. Yeah.
yeah.
So you try to figure out. You can't delineate between the. If there was any sand in the picture, you would. You don't know.
Yeah.
If there was any beach in the picture or not, or if that's all water. But it's probably all water. But very, very cool.
So Terry, after this, we don't have to do anything more today. We're done.
We're done. Yeah, Terry, a question for you though. What time of day was this that you took the shot? Was it since you used it? I'm assuming it wasn't too long after the sun came up, but just curious if you remember. And then we'll move on to the next. The next contestant is the next shots we're going to see are from Woody Mallory. So we got, and then Bob Reppert comes in after Woody. So we'll go over to Woody's first shot here. And he says, this is an osprey shot that he took at the Outer Banks in North Carolina with the D500. So all you D500 lovers, great camera for nature. D500, 500 PF, another great choice. F5.6 at 1/1250th of a second.
Great detail. Very good.
You can see its mate, I'm assuming, just underneath its talon there. You can see another bird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the nest. Yeah.
It's amazing though, sometimes when birds fly in and they land, you swear they're gonna land on some other bird. I mean, they get so darn close. I'm still waiting for the accident to happen where one actually lands on top of another bird. I haven't seen that one yet, but I'm sure some of you guys have. I just haven't caught that moment yet.
That's usually when an eagle lands on a duck.
Yeah. Well, that one I can say I actually did get that one recently. Only took 7 years. So Woody's next shot is a little bit different. Photo of Winston Fairchild in the Christmas concert at the Old Dominion Barn Dance, Hopewell, Virginia. He says they are the sons of Harold and Don Reed of the Statler brothers from Staunton, Virginia. He says he photographs as many of their concerts as he can, and they use his photos on social media and to promote their upcoming concerts. And he does it for fun, no charge. D500, 55 millimeters using the 17 to 55 DX f2.8 lens. Shot it at f2.8, 1/200th of a second, ISO 2000. Well, that's nice that you take the shots for them and they use them for their promo material. And then the next shot that he sent in is this is an image of a wind chime that his late wife had made for the yard, made of kitchen utensils from estate and yard sales. He took this as well with the D500 and the 500 PF.
Wow.
1/400th of a second, ISO 2000.
I like it. It's
Yeah. Well, the rusted M there, adds a lot of interest. Well, everything adds interest, but I mean that breaks up the silverware, if you know what I mean. That's cool.
And of course the background is out of focus is very pleasing.
Yeah.
Woody. So very good.
Nice job.
All Roy.
Oh, Roy's saying his wife's threatened to make a wind chime from his camera gear. Ooh. I don't know that they would make much noise though. just like thunk, you'd hear thunk, thunk, thunk. The next images are from Bob. Did anybody see Bob in the chat? I didn't see Bob in the chat.
Not so far.
Okay, that's very unusual. Hope everything's okay. But anyway, I will bring up his first shot. Obviously, this is a great egret with a fish.
Yes.
This was really, really low light. This is what we run into when we first get there. This is like within the first, we get there when it's still dark, and this is probably, okay, we sit in the car for like 20 minutes, then we get out, and it's still pretty dark. We kind of walk around and scope out the area and see where the birds are and kind of set up our starting point. And then, of course, we try to take the shots when it's pretty dark out. And, what the heck, you're sitting there, right? So you try to take a few, and sometimes you can work with them, and sometimes you can't. But in this case, that the head and the eyes of that fish are tack sharp, and the head of the bird is tack sharp, and you get a feel for the very early morning ritual that we sometimes see. And this was he was at, now believe it or not,
Yes.
I guess we should have a contest. What ISO do you think this was shot at? Now, I will tell you, he does use denoise, but what ISO do you think this was shot at? Any guesses?
12,800.
25,600.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
This was with the at 180 millimeters. You're using the 180 to 6. This is wide open at f5.6, 1/400th of a second. So you're wide open. You're really at a shutter speed where it's potluck whether you're even going to get any of it sharp, and you're still at ISO 25,600. So we do crazy things like that and hope we can get a shot. And it's not going to make a billboard or anything, but it's respectable. It shows the activity. That's what you're trying to show.
Well, and makes a difference, correct? Those photos we could not take just a few years back because they will be useless with so much noise. Now with the noise reduction software, they works okay. So more opportunity to photograph very early in the morning or very late in the afternoon, where before was impossible. So
and this was handheld, I will add as well.
On top of that.
On top of that, so this is handheld. Then his next shot is our friend the otter.
Oh, I love it.
And this is the same thing. This is really early in the morning. Obviously the sun is just starting to kiss the water. You're getting some of the some of the sunlight starting to come in. And this was at ISO 800 at 600 millimeter focal length with the zoom. And he uses the Z8 too, so all his pictures are with the Z8. And this is at f6.3 at 1/250th of a second. So we end up, trying to take shots that most people might just take a pass on because you're not really per the photo gods, you're not shooting at the reciprocal of your focal length for your shutter speed, and you have a subject that could be moving in any moment in time, and but we still do it anyway. You're there. You might as well try. If you get 20 throwaway shots, you might get one that tells a story. So
what was the speed again, Jeff?
What's that?
The speed?
1/250th
Okay.
of a second.
Yeah. No, that's good. I love this image, Bob, when you listen to it. So for sure, great image.
And then now here, because the sun was kissing the water, he was at ISO 800. Okay, what a big difference! What a big difference a little bit of time makes. And now we go back to more of the darkness again. And this one is obviously the otter again. And this one's a little darker. So this is ISO 3200, which isn't bad. 3200 is okay. At 600 millimeters, f6.3 at 1/800th of a second.
Yeah. Bob is here now.
Hello, Bob. Good to see you. You had me worried, buddy.
No, I love it. So,
Now it's next
I wish you
shot.
had more otters.
Yes, this and Bob's on an otter tear on this show here, and this was with this one's at ISO 3200, 600 millimeter f6.3 1/800th of a second. Yeah, I'll tell you, they could chomp up and tear into a fish like you wouldn't believe. They got a good set of chompers on them. And then his last shot that he sent in was of a wood stork grabbing a fish.
Yes. So what was the ISO and speed on this one?
This one's ISO 3200, 600 millimeter f6.3 1/400th of a second. It might be. I mean, he uses the sharpening program. I mean, you can. It might be a tad over sharpened the way the software did it, but I mean, it's.
Yeah, but Jeff, high ISO, you can fix.
Yeah.
Movement of the animal, you can
Right.
fix it. And I
No.
like the fact that he captured here all the droplets of water. Correct. It insinuates the action very well, and for 400, very good.
Well,
Very good,
we
Bob.
always. I mean, I've quoted Art Wolf quite a few times. He's someone I admire quite a bit, and he would always make a statement. The goal is to get the shot. Don't worry about what if you're ISO high or not. It doesn't matter. You want to get the shot because it's important to capture that moment. And if you capture that moment, and it ends up being a noisy picture, it's still better than not capturing the moment at all. It still tells a story, right? So there are many photographs from professional photographers that have won awards that are grainy because, especially 20 years ago or whatever when they took the pictures, and they push process the film. And they're very grainy, but they captured the moment, and that's the most important part of it.
Can't fix blurry.
Can't fix blurry, no. So that's everything from Bob. So thanks, Bob. I'm glad you made it in here.
Very good.
Now the next ones we got coming up, next few people we have coming up is we've got a variety of images that Anita Stewart sent in. And then we have some images from Joe Dixon. So we're going to start with Anita's shots here. And we've got I don't have any notations on these images. Let me change. Let's see. My computer's sitting here thinking for a minute. I gotta wait for it to stop thinking. Maybe I can go to the library mode and see what the settings were. Oops. Yeah, so 1/320th of a second, f11, ISO 200, 29 millimeters with the Nikkor Z 24-70 f4s.
All right. Looks like your way, David, to Canada. Right?
Yeah, it's it's a little bit west of Anita's place.
Okay.
Yes, she can tell you exactly where it was. Yeah.
And then we get to her next shot. I'm trying to remember, Dave, did you or her take a shot of this area one time in the winter?
No, but we've had a shot of this area before. This
Okay.
is down in Lethbridge,
Okay.
and it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can 1/125th of a second f10 ISO 64, same lens 24-70 f4s at 40 millimeters.
Beautiful.
And then this one here, now she's getting a little slower at 1/8 of a second at f11. ISO 200, 32 millimeters with the 24-70 f4s. The detail in the
Okay.
in the mountains there is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. And the foreground elements are in focus. From front to back, she's in focus. Front to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a bog there. So
And she decided to do a butterfly shot.
well, need some wildlife.
Yeah, yeah. And she cranked it up to 1/320th of a second. How dare you shoot so fast? F4 ISO 800, 180 millimeters with the 70 to 180 f2.8 lens.
Nice bokeh on this one.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're all great shots, Anita.
Yeah, wonderful. And then she's got two more in here that she sent. So we've got this one here. What do they call this, gentlemen?
A ptarmigan.
A what?
Ptarmigan.
Ptarmigan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ptarmigan with a P.
Yeah. It starts with a silent P.
Exactly.
Okay.
Beautiful. I love this one.
So is that what area does that bird typically would you normally find it? Is it unique to that to Canada or
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. It's you usually find them in colder climates. They and on cold days they'll hide under the snow, and they'll actually bury under the snow. And yes, but I think I know where she took this shot, and this guy fed them, and so there's quite a few there.
You see,
we were looking for ptarmigan, we didn't see any, and then all of a sudden there was 30 of them.
see Mr. Bixby's comment, always try to start the day with a silent P. Oh, the show is we're gonna have to change the ratings on this show, I think.
Exactly.
And then we got one more from her. That's a nice shot. And hey, everybody loves a dog shot. I know I do.
Intense.
1/25th of a second, f6.3 ISO 1000, 330 millimeters with the 180 to 600 zoom, f5.6 to 6.3. And she shot it at 6.3. Now, is that Anita's dog, or is that just a dog that you think that she's, a neighbor or somebody like that, or just saw it? Okay.
I think that belongs to a neighbor, but
Okay.
and she said that ptarmigan was not at the feeder. But
Yeah, out in the wild.
Beautiful.
Wonderful dog shot. Thank you.
That's
Thank you
great.
very much, Anita, for sending those in. And so we got Joe Dixon coming up. And then after Joe, we have some pictures from Jeff and Leslie. So let me get, I got something out of order here. Something is out of order. I messed up. All right, maybe I'll figure out whose shot this is later on. He took Joe's saying he took his son to a small town carnival and decided to do the swings with him. And he took a few shots and he dragged the shutter to get the motion blur. This is with the Leica Q at f16, 1/15 of a second, ISO 100.
Nice.
You can tell he's having a blast. Now, the next shot he took was, I'll give before I show it. Well, I'll pop it up here. He says he was shooting a wedding and they had a caricature artist. He wanted to grab a shot that showed his art in the making and ended up with the perfect model. He says, I'm not sure if the artist was okay with me hovering, but he says, when you want the shot, who cares? So he got it.
And the framing is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Because you see the artist in the front, out of focus, and coming out of the dark, and then the subject very well illuminated. That's a very, very good photo.
And this is one of those that look much better in black and white than color.
Yes.
Yeah.
The light was fantastic.
All right.
So I'll let you guys try to figure this shot out as I talk about it. He wrote a nice story about it. Use your imaginations. He says he was hired to do a wedding for a couple that was foreign. He says they had no idea what country they originated from because they barely spoke English. He says he was hired for a 2-hour wedding at a dream venue, so he gave them a quote and he booked them. He ended up doing a shoot at Ulta, which does not usually have shoots because it's a store. Then waiting at a house for 5 hours because he couldn't communicate with them. He says, this shot came from me having absolutely nothing to do for that 5 hours and being able to play with lighting in a terrible setting to make something acceptable. He says, I can obviously say that I am proud of this. He says, I used an Adidas track jacket as the background and the light was from a ceiling fan. The photo he ended up with became some of his favorites because he actually had time at a wedding for once, which obviously is not typical of a wedding. And he says he ended up smashing his finger in a light stand and bleeding through the entire ceremony and the bridal shoot. And I will share with you his website, which is DixonPhotographs.com. So for those of you who want to check out Joe's website, DixonPhotographs.com.
Beautiful.
And there's one more.
Very interesting. The question whether this ring was the wedding ring, precariously balancing between.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the wedding ring. Yeah, that's it. But I mean, I think I looked at this image a lot more than was healthy for me to look at it.
But those are shoes, right?
Yeah, they're high heels.
Yeah.
That's not what it looks like.
I know, but you think it's something else.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought of high heels right off. I don't know where your mind is.
Well, one never knows where my mind is. So he had one more shot that he sent in here, and so he says this is a baby shower for an Indian couple that he shot this year. He says they had a cultural ceremony that he had the privilege of capturing, and he thought this photo gave you an idea of how many people that had a hand in it. No pun intended. He says, I'd love to share the photo story with you guys, so just let me know. And Joe, if you are in there, you could come in and talk about this image if you want. Click on the link, excuse me, at the beginning of the chat, and you're more than welcome to come on and talk about it. He used a D850 with 35 millimeter f1.8, 1/500th of a second, 1/1250th, no, 1/500 and okay, 1/500th of a second, and then he says 1250 ISO is what he shot at. So Joe, if you're here or you want to pop in later on, if you come in, we can backtrack and go back to this photo, and you can tell us the story about it.
Well, that's if he has his computer set up. He did that move. Yeah.
Well, this is Joe Dixon, not Joe Stroud.
Okay. Okay.
So I just haven't seen Joe Dixon. I haven't seen Joe in the chat. So we move on to our next contestant, and we have Mr. Sluter, Mr. Jeff, and he sent in some images of some sandhill cranes, and these were shot with the Canon EOS R7 with the 100 to 500 lens. He says the wide angle. Later in another shot, he used a different lens, and I'll tell you what that one is when we get to it. But all the wildlife shots were shot with the R7 with the 100 to 500. And he said he thought this first shot of the sandhill cranes reminded him of the Beatles' Abbey Road album cover.
Yeah, that's the first thing came into my mind too.
Was it?
Yeah, it's exactly what Jeff and Larry are saying, that the crossing of the Abbey Road.
Yeah, this is John, Paul, George, and Ringo. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like that. And so then his the next shot he sent in, and this would be with still using the R7 with the 100 to 500, was a cardinal shot. Very nice light on this cardinal. Very nice light. I don't have any settings on this one, and they're not showing up on my computer, so metadata might have been turned off or whatever for these, but so we'll just enjoy the shots.
Yes.
And his next entry is a Northern Harrier, which I love. Northern Harriers, they are so cool.
Wow, that's good. So cool. If you can get them.
Yeah, like we took some pictures of everybody thought, we even looked it up on our phone, and we thought it was a Northern Harrier, and it wasn't. It was a hawk. It was not a Northern Harrier. And I think the key is that white fringe here around the neck, like this circular. Because it if you were looking at it straight on, you sometimes you'd the way it can turn its head is very much like an owl, But yes. Nice shot, very nice shot. And then he took an early morning shot. The next one coming up.
And Jeff, and they fly so erratically, correct? It's not like they fly in a straight line. This
no,
Northern Harriers, they go all over the place.
Yeah, this is a nice morning shot.
Yes. No angle, sun to get the texture.
Yeah, the texture of the snow is nice.
Yeah.
Good job, Jeff. You're hired. So he sent in one more, I believe, here. No, I think that's it. That's all his shots. So the next few people coming up here, one of them is on our panel, Mr. Gustavo. Your images are next, and then we have some images from our friend Martin Hill. So we got Gustavo's first, and then we have Martin's. So we'll let Gustavo talk to these images coming up.
Okay, so European golden plover. Yeah. So that's still from the New Zealand trip. Yeah, was lucky to find it. The good thing is at the time you find it in their breeding plumage still. So,
Yeah, and he picks up some of the colors that you see in the foreground too. You know,
exactly.
he could blend in pretty good if he wants to.
All right.
I don't know if he was happy that you found him though.
No, it was quite tolerant. Always, actually, the light was a little bit on the harsh side, right?
Yeah.
But I was happy to photograph a species that we don't typically that I don't typically have a chance. So in their environment as well, correct? So that was that.
I'm going to go back, and Jeff corrected me that image of the snow was a sunset and not a sunrise, as I had assumed. So it was a sunset shot. So thanks and he says it was really cold, really cold. So we bring up the next shot here.
Yeah. So that's a bird that is somehow not so difficult to photograph, but difficult to see because it doesn't move. It's a common snipe, right? In the grass. So I was photographing all birds from the car, and I looked down, and there it was.
Not very tall. Not a very tall bird.
No. So again, the species that I don't frequently see here.
Well, that would have been an easy subject to miss too. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Of course, as soon as I try to open the door of the car, it disappears. So the next one is for special for Anita. No, the one before that.
Here we go.
There you have it,
Need
Anita.
a shot. The horse. This is for the horse whisperer.
Exactly. So one of the horses in Iceland. So many.
So the question is: are Iceland horses prettier?
Yeah. I mean, they are very nice subject to photograph. So I make this kind of portrait. Love that it was a little bit windy, so anyway, I brought this one especially for Anita, and the final one.
Looks like you were close enough. If you had to comb the horse's hair, you could have done
it. Yeah, but I was photographing with. I think this was photographing with.
You had the 600.
With a 600,
yeah. So then here's your.
Yeah, and this is actually one of those days that you get very, very nice light. Right, this is the most common bird here. This is a house finch, right? But even the commonest bird, if you get great light, you can get great opportunity. So I decided to show a not so common bird and a very common bird.
Yep.
And of course, you got a ton of details on the plumage and everything, right? And I like the posture here with one leg rise and the other one leg down, and so
we have a lot of those. We have a lot of those house finches where we are too.
Yes,
they
are. You stop photographing them for a while, but if you get a good light, that's an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a nice color to them.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for sending those in as always. And we're going to. We got Martin, and then we have the second round of images from Terry. So Martin's wonderful because he gives you the full story, you know. I mean, so trouble is, once again, he has to describe places that I can't pronounce. But so I'm sorry I didn't take any foreign languages when I was in school. I think I tried to take French and that didn't work out too well, and I left the class and I took something else instead. But I was getting frustrated. But anyway, here's his letter. Here's his conversation with me. He says, "Hi, Jeff." He says, "For this round, he wants to show photos from his recent trip to here I go again, Heligoland. Heligoland is a German I'm not going to pronounce this one right either. I'm not going to pronounce it. I'm going to spell it because I'm not going to. Archipelago.
Archipelago.
What's that? Archipelago.
Yeah.
Archipelago. So located about 50 miles from the German shore. Says they usually have the roughest weather in Germany, and the North Sea is notorious for the choppy waters. We got lucky again, though. It consists of 2 islands, Main Island, which is a huge red sandstone cliff, and Dune, which is exactly that, a tiny island with a beach on each side with a few dunes in the middle. Can only be reached by ferry or small planes. Cars are not allowed there. There are a few taxis and service vehicles, though. It says around 1,000 permanent residents live on the small islands. It also has quite the troubled and interesting history. Nowadays, it is a tourist spot and a tax and toll-free area. However, besides being a massive tourist location, it's also a spot for bird watching all year round, and also a spot to see the biggest predator we have in Germany, the gray seal.
Okay.
In winter, the gray seals get their babies, and it's quite the show. He says, I could show photos for a full year of photo reviews. He says, in previous years, nature conservationists saw a steep decline in the number of the seals. This was made out to be because tourists and photographers disturbed the seals, separated mom and baby, threw rocks at the babies to make them look at the camera. Cell phone and wide angle close-up shots of newborns and all that nonsense. Now it sounds like where I am, where they throw rocks at alligators because they don't think they're real. So they decided in 2018 to close off the beach during December and half of January so that the seals had their space. This closure was a huge success. In the last 5 years, the seals recovered and most newborns make it through their first year. In previous years, seals were only to be seen on the north end of Dune. They're now at every beach and even on the main island. The rule is to stay 30 yards away from the seal. He says in his pictures, you will see that at times this is not possible because they rest right by the boardwalks or they flop up to you out of curiosity. However, rangers monitor visitor behavior. Sad to see it came this far, but it seems necessary. He says, so this was his 4th trip to the islands. That he thinks it's his 4th trip and he still wants to return. They went there for 3 days this time, and they had a really dull weather for 2 days, but brilliant weather on Sunday. So this was obviously a gray seal and his baby doing baby things. The newborns must be the cutest thing in the world. He says this was a massive crop. We really did not want to get closer, taken with the Z9 with the 800 PF, 1/1000th of a second, ISO 900, +1 EV, f6.3. So that's the first image.
I think Terry goes to all of these places in the world that got these really strange names just so that Jeff has to try to say them.
You guys all do it to me because you get to travel, so yeah, you get to go to all these exotic places that have to have difficult names. So his next shot here is of a young seal resting on the beach. He says at this age, they seem to be extremely curious and will often look at you and waddle towards you, at least from his limited experience. Taken with the Z9 and the 800 PF once again, 1/1250th of a second, ISO 1000, plus 1.67 EV at f7.1. That's
Nice.
I love that shot. That's a wonderful shot.
It is.
And then his next shot is, let's see. He says, this seal cleaned itself in the dunes right by the boardwalk and didn't seem to be overly bothered. Taken with the Z9 800, with the 800 PF, 1/800th of a second, ISO 1600 minus 0.67, exposure comp, f6.3.
Nice photo. Love the texture of the sand in the fur.
And around the eyes, right? The fur around the eyes is cool.
Yeah.
Almost looks like it got combed there.
And then almost compare it in the eyes.
Yeah. And then he took an environmental shot here, which this is great too. A little bit of an environmental shot. The seal is just coming to the shore. It just shows how beautiful the light was.
Yes.
Same lens, same camera, 1/1000th of a second, ISO 560, wide open at 6.3. He says, all in all, he was quite surprised how short you have to expose when they move. He says they do not move slowly. Even though their motion does not seem to be that quick. He says, I do not like sand in my camera. And he says, do not ask. So that's not good. He says, I can't even begin to tell you how hard it was to select 4 pictures, but here you are.
And of course, Martin chose only the photos of the seal and looking towards the beach. I'm sure in the sand, he was looking for some sort of orchid as well.
So, Mark, my message to you, as I sure is with everybody, is feel free to share much more of these types of pictures for the upcoming photo reviews as well. Really, they're wonderful shots. Wonderful shots. Now, the next 5 images that you're going to see are from Terry. He shot them with a full spectrum Z5 with infrared filter. He shot them around Cherry Hills, northeast of Melbourne. He mentions the 50 millimeter f1.8 is perfect for IR as it doesn't have any hot spot or flare. So we will show you the images that he took.
Wow.
This is with the Nikon. Now, this is with the Nikon Z5, everybody. The Z5 with the Z 51.8, 1/1000th of a second, f4, ISO 100. David likes to take these kinds of shots too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that Terry had his converted, but then again, he had a system where they took the filter off from front of the sensor, and then you could replace the filter, and he had a number of filters to replace it with. So
I'm going to say goodnight to Bob if he's still here. I see it in the chat that he's leaving, or he may have already left, but thanks for visiting, Bob, if you're still there. So this is his first shot of 5, so we'll bring up the next one here. This was, he says, this one was taken from the other side of the road. Same camera, Z5 with the 51.8. So they're all with the Z5 and the 51.8. This is 1/1000th of a second, f4. And ISO 100.
Wow.
And then we'll.
Looks weird.
It gives you a really interesting look. I don't know that. Well, I mean, I like the look, but I don't know that I'd want to modify a camera, one of my cameras for doing it.
It's nice to have for a bunch of them, and I'll shoot mine every
Wow.
so often without a filter in the front. Yeah, and like mine's full spectrum,
Yeah.
and you get something totally different again.
Yeah, and you can use it for astro as well, correct, David?
No, I can't.
Oh, well, the full spectrum.
No, it doesn't work in low light because of the way the
Okay.
F-mount cameras are. There's little infrared light on the inside that shines against the sensor that the system uses to determine if the shutter is open or not. And so it spoils all your low light pictures.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah,
so but when you shoot in daylight, it's not a problem.
Yeah, beautiful.
There's his next one.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
It's almost like Canada in the winter.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It doesn't look like that year round in Canada?
Okay.
His last image here is a
Beautiful.
he calls this last shot duality. So before I show it to you, he said he made with an IR shot. It's a dandelion shot. So he made an IR shot of the dandelion on the left and then a negative of it on the right.
Okay.
So this is with the Z5 again, but this is using the 105, the Z105 macro lens at f/5.6, 1/500th of a second, ISO 100 minus 0.3 EV.
Wow.
That's a neat, you know, how sometimes you go into an art store or whatever, and they sometimes have like double images. This would look really cool in a frame in a frame where you have them both side by side, just like in this picture, and you just have that would be really neat. He's
I'm
probably
surprised
already,
how much different looks the reverse, correct?
yeah, yes,
Wow.
well, that's really
Fantastic,
cool.
Eric. These are cool, like Jeff and Leslie are saying. Really, really cool.
Let's see if someone's trying to get in. I thought I heard a. Want to make sure
Joe.
I'm not.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joey's here. Joe Digital.
Yes.
I thought it was Joe Analog. What do you mean Joe Digital? Where's this digital stuff?
I mean, when in Rome. How you guys
So
doing?
I clicked the button, so theoretically you're here, but I can't see you on my screen because of what I'm doing. So I don't know if anybody else could see you or not. But
No, that's good. I'm not wearing any makeup, so this is saving
not wearing any
everyone
makeup.
pain. Yeah,
I was on. I mean, you know, I didn't want to catch you on drag night. You know what I mean?
I mean, with new tariffs being what they are, we have to get by. And in my case, it's moonlighting as a drag queen. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what they say. You got to do what you got to do.
As one must. This is a cool photo. Who took this one?
Terry.
Very, very cool. I like this. It's very neat.
It's a bit warmer than the last three.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the second block of images that Terry sent in, and then our next victim coming up is Randall, followed by Mr. Stewart. So our panelists we get to grill the panelists now if we want to, but we'll bring up Randall's shots here and let Randall talk about them. And give me a second to get there.
All right, I am using the Sony A7CR. It's a 61 megapixel camera. It's tinier than the A7R5, but I used the Tamron G2 70 to 180, which is stabilized. It weighs a lot less than the Sony 70 to 200 millimeter. That's why I picked it up. And it was half the price. So it gave a good reflection picture. I enjoyed this, the lens. It's fast autofocusing. I had the Megadapt ETZ 21 Pro adapter also. And I can use this same lens on the Nikon, any Nikon Z camera. And it performs just as good for autofocusing. And I've been using it on the Z52 and the Z8. They work great.
Beautiful. So, great shot. Very abstract, Randall.
So I thought it was great. The water was down a little bit, which was good because I wanted to show the bird bath ring around it. But this was after it snowed, and then it melted at the end of the day. So on one day it snowed and then it melted by the afternoon. And our winter is over now.
Darn that Texas weather.
Yeah.
And then we'll bring up your next image here.
Okay. This one, and I was talking about it. This is the Z52. And I was using the, what was it? The 150 to 600.
Okay.
Now, this is, what? I was using the adapter for the Tamron. Okay, so I have a Tamron 150 to 600 G2, and I was using the F to Z adapter 2 on this. And I caught just as the bird was ready to hop down. And I thought this was a fantastic image. What is it, a barn swallow?
No, it looked like I don't know, Randall. It looked more like a house sparrow or some sort of finch because of the beak.
Okay, got it. So you know, with an APS-C camera and with a let's see, what was it? It was the 150-600. Trying to think. Z50. You know what I was doing? Okay. Yeah, I was using the F to Z adapter version 2. I like doing different things. So with 600 millimeters, it's actually a 900 millimeter, you know, for the 35 millimeter focal length. But I thought it was pretty good. I shot it at 1/2500th of a shutter speed, and I believe it was at 7.1.
Yeah.
So.
And you got him. Or her. So here's your next, we're running out of time. Haha.
Oh yeah. All right. So this right here was, let me go back here. This was taken for the Z52 also. Okay. And I was using the same lens, 150-600 millimeter. This was at f5, and it's 1/320th of a shutter speed. I'm real happy about this because I finally fixed my clock. I found out that what is it, the pendle that you hang? I was hanging it on the wrong thing, and it would just die after half an hour. And after 2 years, after I cleaned it up, thinking that there's a lot of dust in the mechanism, actually was I put it on the wrong or the right one this time, and now it's 10 minutes fast every 8 hours. So I gain 30 minutes a day every 24 hours. So, but it's working, and I'm happy. My dad got this in, I think, 1981 when he retired, and it's a great clock. It's a wall clock. It's not one of those big ones, and I have to wind up the, let's see, what is it, the chime and the where you hear the Big Ben clock. Have to wind that up on the left and right, and then on the center is the clock itself with the moon, which you can't see above. But I got real close. It was a great shot, and with that camera, you can use an APS-C. It was excellent.
Well, it's not good that it's running fast, though. Your life goes fast enough. You don't need the clock speeding it up on you.
Yeah, but okay. Now this is the Leica Q3, and right here, I was at f1.7 and 1/50th of the shutter speed, and it was at 28 millimeter. But this is the morning, right at sunrise when it snowed, and in the afternoon, and I did a video on this, it was all melted except for a few spots in the backyard, and this is in my backyard.
Wow.
So like I said, we'll get some cold spells, but I don't think it'll snow again. It's by the time it gets over January, we'll have a few days that are cold. It won't snow, and by Easter, it's hot. So
yeah, I got more snow than you did, Randall. I got about 4 inches at least.
Yeah, and what? It was over 30 years from, let's see, 1985. No, it was 25 years before it snowed again. When I first moved to San Antonio, there was snow all over the place.
Wow.
And from there, from 2007 on, it's been snowing here once every 3 years. So I'm seeing more snow now than I did, when I first moved to San Antonio. So it amazes me that it gets this far down south. Now, if I moved to Austin, that'd be a different story. So an hour away makes a difference for more extreme temperatures.
Oh,
That's it.
Mr. Ronald Pollard in the chat. Hello, Ron. How you doing? Good to see you. I think you had one more. I'm not sure here. Let me check. I think you had one more. You had one more, Randall. You got this one.
Oh, all right. This one was taken by the Sony A7CR. 1/125th of a shutter speed, and it was at 4.5 at 28 millimeters. And this lens is the Zeiss. Oh, let me take that back. No, this is a pancake lens that's autofocusing from Viltrox, and it's a 4.5 aperture. So you can do but you can't manual focus. It has to be autofocus only. And that's what was unusual about this lens. But it captured pretty good. And those are fake flowers, by the way. So, but still, it captured the moment. And I try to see what a 4.5 lens can do with just a little light. And it did pretty good. The pancake lens is the size of a lens hood. Well, I mean, not a lens hood, a lens cap.
Lens cap.
So that's interesting. And also on that, there's a little lever where you don't put a lens cover on it. You just close it. So you can
just
have
like
it open.
it just has something like that, almost like aperture blades that go across and cover it.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
But this image have very good light, Randall. I love the light. So too good to experiment with a kind of dark to light, correct? So
Yeah.
beautiful.
So thank
So
you,
I'm
Randall.
getting better.
Those are all the ones that Randall sent in for us this week. And then the next party's coming up is we got David Stewart, and we have Roy's images after that. So we're gonna jump ahead into David's. I just want to let's see. Oh, Nancy Jane is popped in. She says she's now retired. She thought she'd have more time for photography, and he says now she wonders how she had time to work. Last day was November 30th. Congratulations on being free. And nice to see you. We haven't seen you in a long time. We were wondering how you were doing. We thought that you probably retired before the end of last year. So good to see you here. And Ron, it's great to see you. I mean, I know you're really busy out there with all your photo shoots and everything you're doing. Oh, and Mr. Pollard, not just so I can embarrass him a little bit. He sent me an image. I should have had him send it to me. Or you can always sneak it in, Ron, if you got time. I'll show it at the end of the show. He had an image that was on the cover of Time magazine, folks. So we have you know, what can I say? We can't compete with Mr. Pollard. He took an image that's on the cover of Time magazine. So congratulations to Ron.
Beautiful.
And so David, we're going to go to yours now.
It's Wednesday was the Chinese New Year. This is the year of the snake, and this one is from 2 years ago. I shot this with my Z8 and my 24-120, and I was there again today. But today I had my D850 and my 70-200. But these dancers are really good, and most of the time, that is the expression that they have on their face, like almost a blank face. But it's and they had lots of dancers today, and they, they tell with an awful lot of practice because of the way their hands are and whatever is, and everybody's hands matched, and they could be 6 or 8 dancers at the same time. But this was just one of the shots I had.
And David, this is from the local Calgary Chinese community, right?
Yeah, actually, this is with my Z9. Mm-hmm. I'm just looking at the number on the bottom. Yeah, it's the Chinese community in Calgary is somewhere between 100 and 200,000. And they have a very large cultural center, and they have a stage show that they put on 4 times, twice this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and twice last weekend. They bracket the New Year's Day, but it's a really big thing for the Chinese community, their Lunar New Year.
And then we got. We'll go to your next image. Good thing that critter didn't want to eat you. I hope.
No, it was. Oh, yeah. And they had 3 or 4 lions dancing at the same time, and they'd have 8 people on about 8 people on a lion, and it takes an awful lot of practice to do something like this, and whatever complains about the weight of their camera, you just start moving around one of those lion heads, and jumping around and dancing all at the same time. It's you're
you were someone that you had your back turned, right, and then you turned around and then this was right in front of your face. I think you would jump a little.
Oh yeah. And they practice this a lot.
Now you got to explain to me what that is in the middle, because that is freaking me out, man.
Okay, it's because this has to do with Robbie Burns Day, and this picture is called the haggis, and it's a haggis. That's the thing off to the right.
Oh,
but this animal it's got legs on one side. They're longer than the other for running around the hills in Scotland. Yeah, this is that the Kelvin.
That thing is real, huh?
no.
I hope not, man, because I'd give up photography if I ran into that, man.
Yeah, this is at the Kelvin Grove Museum in Glasgow. And, this exhibit has been there for a long time, and they've got all sorts of strange things, like they have a Spitfire hanging from the ceiling that was in the war, and they've got stuff from all over the world. But it's a great place to go, and if you only have a day, you got to pick which areas that you're going to go to, because it takes quite a while to make it through if you want to look at everything. Yeah.
And then we have an image that I didn't expect from you, sir, which was interesting.
And if you can read the on the sign of this locomotive, of what it says.
Hogwarts Castle.
Yeah. I took this picture in York. They've got a museum there, and it's the only place in the UK that you can get your steam locomotive serviced. And so they had this in for service.
So this is in one of those rotary tables, correct?
Yeah.
Turnstile. Yeah.
Yeah. They had about 20 tracks coming off this, all with steam locomotives that were all built in the UK. And this is another museum that it takes all day to make it through. And I've been there twice, and you could, and I still didn't see everything, but it's an interesting place, and I never expected to see this, because it was only in for a couple of days or a week, and then they sent it back to wherever the owner lives, because this is privately owned, this locomotive.
Okay. And we'll go to a series of shots here that you sent in your type.
These three shots are all of the same place, shot with different cameras and different lenses. I just barely made it in time to get up here. I had to run up the hill. And it took me about 40 minutes to run up the hill to get the shots, because I wanted to get it before I lost the light. But this is in on the Isle of Skye, and this rock formation is called the Old Man of Store. It's a fairly famous rock formation. You usually don't see it like this, but you can see some of the paths where people have been walking over the years. And it's there's that much water running down this hill that your feet are wet all the time. And right behind where I took the shot, there was a lake. And this is on the on the top of a hill. It's but the reason why I sent these 3 shots in, they're done with 3 cameras, and I think I shot them all with the auto exposure, but it'll show you how different cameras see things differently. This was shot with a D7000.
Okay, and we'll bring up your next one.
And this was shot with a Crackberry. It's a cell phone. And there's you can see one of my cameras in the shot. And the third one was with the D600. And this is the shot that I prefer of the whole bunch.
Wow.
And this one is at 16 millimeters. I use my 16 to 35 f4.
Great shot.
I still like the first one, David.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, the first one is great for context,
Yeah.
to see what it's like. And this is one of those places that you want to be there in the morning. And when I got up there, I met a guy that was he was going to shoot the sunset and the sunrise, and he was going to go down in between. And I was kind of wondering why, because he might as well just stay up, because it wasn't that much darkness. And it's not a hill you want to walk up and down in the dark.
Robert's asking you if this is in Sky.
Yeah, it's in Sky. It's the old Menace store.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I've only made it up this hill once, and but I've been there 3 times. It's not an easy one to go up, and now if I was going to go up there, I think I would take about an hour or so, because it's not an easy walk.
And that's David's last image. So I thank you, sir, for sharing all these. And before we move on through, because hopefully Ron is still here, I want to show his image. He did send it to me in an email. So give me a second to retrieve it. So hopefully, if he is still here, he can answer any questions that anybody might have. Just give me, let's see, how do I want to go about this? You know what? I'm just going to share it from my email if I can. Let's see if I can get away with that. I'm going to just try sharing it from my email. So bear with me. I have to. I have to go change this up to. Here we go. So this is Ron's image is going to come up here. And now I get to see Joe. Hi, Joe. You look good in plaid, buddy. You look good in plaid. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so cold.
It's not cold here.
Sorry, it's warm. Never mind. David's right. I'm wrong.
Wow.
It's not cold here either.
Ron's image here. So there's Ron's image.
Doesn't look like Ron.
Well,
Oh,
Ron had his hair done and he had a little makeup. What can I tell you?
Wow.
It's nice earrings, Ron.
Ron, congratulations, sir.
Zoom on a little bit so that we can see.
So this is the. Oh, wait a minute. That's as big as I can make it from my email.
So that we can see.
You want me to make it smaller?
Well,
That's pretty big.
to the bottom.
Well, he can't remove Jeffrey Neville because of Restream. So,
Yeah.
but that's not Jeffrey Neville on time.
Let me just see if I can do anything.
That's a good question for Ron.
Who is she?
Exactly.
She's dealer of the year.
Realtor of the year for I believe I forget what region. Ron, maybe you can comment on that in the chat. But this was a photo from a Realtor of the Year recipient for a certain phone.
He's saying that it was taken with a Z8 24 to 120 and 5 lights.
5 lights.
Wow.
So there you go. Mr. Pollard, big time. Auto dealer. Okay, it was auto dealer. That's right, not a realtor. Auto dealer award winner.
Southeast.
But congratulations, Ron. Now, what I want to see, Ron, is I want to see one of your golf shots on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So let me know when you get one of your golf shots on Sports Illustrated.
What?
Probably already did, actually, if I know Ron, or Golf Digest anyway. So I'm missing out on the conversation, okay, in the side chat. I guess Nancy got a new lens, but I can't back up enough to see what the conversation's about. You guys could fill me in.
She got the 400 2.8 for her retirement.
Ah, that's a nice retirement gift. Hey, I retired years ago, Nancy. You feel generous?
Maybe what she'll do is send you a picture of it, Jeff.
Well, I'll take a picture of it. Yeah, hey, I what are you gonna do? I'll take what I could get. And before I go to the pictures, I just want to, I didn't. Now that I can see Joe, I mean, Joe, you up to anything interesting that you want to share with the rest of us?
No, not even slightly. Just playing guitar lots and getting back into a little bit of photography every now and then when I get a chance. So I've been playing with the Sony ZV-1, and yeah, that's about it, guys. Just nice to see everyone, and happy to see everyone's having a good week.
Hey, you got to do a little intro for me, but I want you to do it with the drums. I want to see you beating on those drums, man.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta get like Phil Collins like in the air tonight, like just.
That's right.
Dressed as a gorilla.
Yeah, I could probably manifest that. That would be awesome.
Remember the Cadbury advert?
Yeah, I don't, but I will find it, Jeff. I will go back and I will find it.
Okay.
Roy, good to see you.
Roy is here, which is great. As is everybody.
Photos are next.
Everybody else that decides to suffer through our show here. We appreciate it. We will.
You got this, everyone.
Bring back.
That's not mine.
No, I'm going back to the last shot that David took, and then I got to bring up all my cheat sheet information here. So
Roy, correct?
Roy is next. So Roy gets to talk about his images next. And Ron, thanks so much for stopping in. And Nancy, I'm glad that you're retired, and enjoy the lens when you get it. I'm sure you will. And make sure that you share some of those images from that lens once you get that in your hands. Toss a few our way to share on the show. We would appreciate it. And this is Roy's first shot.
Yeah, we've got a big rabbit problem. Keeps the grandkids funny. They love to chase it around the garden.
I have a relative that kind of looks like that.
We get them most mornings and evenings.
Beautiful.
Not enough of them. The grass is still growing.
Now you got to tell me who this is in this next shot, because is that a family member?
That's my wife.
Your wife?
Yes. Backlight's
I'll tell
too
you,
hot.
she has a very similar facial structure to Princess Diana.
The hair too. That's
When you
that's
think about it.
pre-Diana.
The hair
Yeah.
too.
And you shot this yesterday?
And a few more yesterdays.
Yesterday's? No,
Slide
but it's
film with ASA 64.
I thought of Princess Diana, obviously not the same hair color, but I mean, very similar. So you married a princess and you didn't tell us. How dare thee?
Just about.
Great photo.
Early 70s, mid 70s.
Wonderful shot, Roy.
So how many flashes, Roy?
Sorry?
How many flashes on that one?
Probably two. One on a brolly in front and one to light up the background too much. I set it too high, and with film, you can't go back.
Yeah.
It's all guess and trial and error.
And then one of Roy's buddies.
Ooh.
You can barely see him in the bushes. Black cockatoo.
Those are lovely.
Having a munch on the bushes.
So it looks like he has his claws wrapped around the branch there while he's eating it, huh?
Yeah, I'd hate to be in those beaks. They really make a crunch.
Make sure you don't stick your finger near its mouth.
I wouldn't dare.
No.
They come to the same bush most days. That's just a shot of
This cockatoo is giving me PTSD. My uncle used to have one named Sweet Pea, and it had one leg, and it just would chase people around trying to steal their food and biting them.
Yeah, they can be very aggressive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but great photo.
Don't know why I took this one.
But that's what Roy sent us. So make sure you thank your princess for letting you share her photo, which you probably didn't tell her you were going to do that. I'm sure.
No, I didn't. Better not to tell her.
Better not to tell her. Thank you, Roy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Roy.
Great, Roy.
And then our next images are we got some from Luis. Luis is traveling, so he sent these while he's on the road. I sent a few images.
Thailand. He's in Thailand.
He's in Thailand.
Mhm.
Okay. He tried to send me 4 images, but I wrote back to him. I says I only got 3 of them for whatever reason. But and then after that, Joe, are you still in there? Because I can't see you on my screen.
Yep, I am still here. Oh yeah.
You are. Your images are right after Luis's, so please hang in there if you can until we get to your shots. I would appreciate it.
100% just enjoying the show. Great to see some awesome photos.
So the first shot from Luis is of a
Oh my.
water monitor lizard in Bangkok, and he took this with the D500 with the 500 PF wide open f5.6 1/400th of a second ISO 640. So he had decent light, so it worked out good, and better that he see the lizard in the water rather than 10 feet away from him. Those are the ones that have the nasty poison, right? And they're in their mouths from what they eat and everything, Costello?
If it were a Komodo dragon, but I think it's a monitor lizard.
Monitor lizards don't have that problem? I guess.
No, the monitors. They're
right. They're near in the Galapagos, right? The Komodos.
Yeah.
No, in the Comoros Islands in Indonesia.
Okay.
Oh, right, Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay. So he sent us in that one, which is cool, and then he followed it up with a ornate sunbird, and this is Koh Samet Island, D500, 500 PF once again, f 5.6, 1/800th of a second, ISO 900, and then he added +1 EV to the shot. I'm sure there was a lot of shade in there. That's cool. It has that throat that you associate with some species of hummingbirds.
Well, in all these songbirds in they occupy almost the same ecological niche, right? The nectar feeders.
And then his last shot that I was able to get was this one here. This is a black baza east of Bangkok.
Wow.
6.3.
So these are all from Thailand.
Yeah.
Wow.
1/10 of a second, ISO 450.
That bird, I don't know. It looks almost like a raptor, correct?
Yeah. I mean, that beak is curved and sharp. I like interesting that it doesn't look like the eye is around the eye or the eye itself is blue, right? You get like a blue ring.
Yes.
On the eye. That's really neat.
You should got coloration for a raptor if it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice looking bird.
I'm sure he will teach us something about these birds when he comes back.
I think my wife would be laughing at me right now if she heard me say that's a nice looking bird. Yeah, okay. But it is.
Yes.
But it is. So Luis, whenever you get to your computer or your phone, thank you for sending in these images. We appreciate it. And we're going to move on to some shots that Joey sent in. So Joe, I'll let you narrate these. You ready?
Sounds good.
I would do a drum roll, but I don't have a drum set next to me, so I can't do the drum roll for you.
I know it. I'm a terrible drummer, so we will be abstaining from drums tonight. Okay, cool. So first shot, I took this with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I took a series of about 15 vertical images. All of them are ISO 2000. Shutter, can't recall off the top of my head, but yeah, just took them all. We get a phenomenon in Calgary, which is common in different regions of the Rockies, called Chinook. And we had a beautiful Chinook arch. It's basically where warm air rolls through from the ocean, and it creates a sort of arch with the clouds. So yeah, kind of got this one, and yeah, that was kind of a fun shot. Very colorful.
Now, what software are you using to stitch the images together with?
Yeah, for sure. I'm using Affinity Photo 2 for the stitch, and then I use Capture One for the edit.
Okay. So do you edit them and then like take the settings and copy it to all the images so they're all the same exposure and then stitch them, or what's your process? What do you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I shot all of these photos in manual, so I was able to make sure that the shutter, the ISO, all that good stuff was locked in. And then when I stitched the panorama, it normalizes everything so everything matches. So if there's any slight differences in exposure, it matches it, and it gets rid of ghosts as well. So
now when you do your overlap, I mean, I'm assuming you're on a tripod, or you just Are you just well, I don't want to guess how you're doing it, but I know, I mean, back in the old days, the few times that I've tried to do it, I mean, I used to look at the angle of view of whatever lens I was using, and then I would use the look at my tripod head and make sure that I overlapped about 25% from one image to the next. What's your approach when you're doing it?
Yeah, for sure. So with this, it was with the drone. So I just kept it static in the same position, and then just used the left joystick. And I went about, maybe 3 degrees per shot. So there was actually too much overlap for each image. And I wanted to do that on purpose just to make sure that everything lined up. When you're shooting with a drone, as long as you don't change the pitch of the camera, and you just go on a horizontal plane, everything is super level, so you don't have to really worry about leveling it out per se, like you would with a tripod.
Okay. We'll bring up your next one here. Wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, the next one is also with the drone. And this was an HDR shot, so I wanted to try from the same sort of position, pointing it more towards the mountains, taking a few different exposures, and then again, same thing, Affinity Photo 2, stitching them together. And yeah, this is what I got.
Wow.
Now, how large of a file? I mean, obviously the sensor on the drone isn't really huge. So, and what are you talking about for a file size when you get done stitching everything together?
Yeah, let me hold on. I'm just going to see if I can pull the file here, because I can't remember how many megapixels it was before I put it. Because when I put it into Capture One, it down reses it just to like a standard web image. But when I'm doing it in Affinity, it's like usually pretty big. Hold on, let me see if I can find it here. Oh man, I'm having trouble finding this here. I want to say like it was at least 4,000 megapixels in one direction, and then probably about 8,000 the other, somewhere in that ballpark. It's quite a big file. So like if you edit it in Affinity, like you could do a lot within it. It will retain the file size, but I've got a free version of Capture One, so it down-res it to a web file, so it makes it just sort of like a standard image. But yeah, no, they're definitely very, very big files, and like you can definitely zoom in a bit. With a drone like the Mini 3 Pro, the sensor's quite small, and it's a fixed aperture, so everything's usually going to be pretty in focus. It's kind of hard to get areas of like blur and separation, but yeah, no, doing it this way, you can definitely zoom in a little bit in the stitching software if you want to just focus on one area.
Okay, that's cool. I haven't done one in such a long time.
Fun. All right, this one, I took this with the Sony ZV-1, and then I used a variable ND Pro Mist filter. I want to say this is probably about ISO 1000, shutter probably 1/150, and I shot it at 2.8, and I was at 28 millimeters.
Snow, something that I don't see too often anymore.
I am jealous.
Other than recently, though, we did have some, believe me. Shut down the whole state, man. Shut down the whole state.
Oh man, that's rough. Yeah, this one, again, Sony ZV-1, shutter was 1/150. All the settings are basically the same. This one though, I did lower the ISO was the same. I just increased the amount of tint on the variable ND, and then just took it wide open. This one was at 1.8 actually on the lens, and it was still at 28 millimeters. So with the Sony ZV-1, you get a 1.8 aperture when it's at 28 mil, and then as you zoom in, it's a fixed 2.8 all the way through.
And this is your last image you sent coming up here.
Awesome. And then, yeah, this one was with the Sony ZV-1. This was in, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I says, I love barns and farms.
Oh, always. Yeah. This one was, I want to say probably about 70 millimeters, 2.8, again, variable ND. I used a tripod for this one, and then ISO 1000, and I shot all of them in S-Log3, so that way then I could have a bit more flexibility when editing, and I shot them all in RAW as well. So yeah, it's been fun. It's a very small camera. My whole kit is quite tiny this year, and just trying to maximize the image quality I can get out of it, and I'm shooting everything at a 3x2 because that way then it uses the whole sensor, all 1 inch of it. No, I don't think it's actually 1 inch.
Hey, it looks nice, man. It looks nice. Very nice.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Well, I'm going to jump, guys, but thank you all for having me. And yeah, I'll be tuning in on my phone in silent mode while I watch a movie with the wife.
All right. Sounds good.
Great to see you, Joe.
Great to see you guys too. Have a great week.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for stopping in.
My pleasure. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. So our next image is coming up. We have a group of images from Scubarazzi. Will be the next person up on at bat. And
he's on the chat.
He's in the chat, yeah. And then we got, and then I have a picture. Yes. Then we have that jokingly, I said a very big picture from real Nikon lover Jim Eads sent in a shot. So let me back up here to get to the first image from Paul. And yeah, too bad that Bob from Bob Our Photos left, because him and I have gone on a few little trips to take these types of images that you're going to see upcoming that Paul took, and he got a bunch of really cool train shots, and so he took some creative train pictures in Switzerland, and he mentions that Switzerland has, besides Japan, of course, one of the most known train systems in the world, and he says besides of our whole train system being very well connected and synchronized, our trains are also known to be very punctual. He says, unfortunately, I did not have the time to travel somewhere to take train pictures with nice backgrounds. So that's what I was able to do around where he lives and works. So this first picture he took in the Swiss Alps. There's a mountain called Rigi, and it's between two lakes, and one has a nice view over the lakes and Alps. So he took this picture in December during sunset. It was the last train going down to the next city, and he likes the reflection of the sunset and the Alps in the windows of the train. And so, he used, for this shot, he used a D500, a Sigma 18 to 300 millimeter lens at 1/60th of a second, f5 ISO 100, and he was at the 18 millimeter focal length when he took this shot. So that's his first train image of quite a few here to go. So you're going to really like these. His next image. This is, he says, this is one of his many long time and panning photos he took of trains lately. Cargo trains transport our goods on the railways. This train is a national train that transports goods like fuel, post, corn. In Switzerland, this was one transporting fuel. As you can see, the logo and also the technical installation behind the windows are sharp.
Yeah.
And this was with the Nikon Z8 with the Z14 to 30 f4 and at 14 millimeters. 1/10 of a second, f/22, ISO 64. That's cool. So then he had another train that came. So this one is, he says, this is also a cargo train. He says he likes the specific painting.
Yes.
This type of train is mostly used to transport goods not only in Switzerland, but also in the neighboring countries. So often they pass from Germany to Italy, and that for the need to cross the Alps, passing many tunnels like famous Gotthard Tunnel that is 57 kilometers / 35 miles long. And this is with the Z8 as well, with the same 14 to 30 f4 lens, 1/10 of a second, f/22, ISO 64, and this is at the 14 millimeter focal length.
Nice.
Yep.
So then you had a wide selection here. This is a regional train, he says, operated by the SBB/CFF/FFS, which is Swiss Federal Railways. He says the shorts are in 3 of our 4 national languages. And he says this train, the nice heart logo containing the German, Swiss, and French flags. And it's because the route is passing through all 3 countries. And thanks to the Schengen border code in most of the European countries, they can pass between countries without being controlled by border controls. And this was the Z8 as well, with the same 14 to 30 f4 lens, 1/10 of a second as well, f/22, ISO 64 at the 14 millimeter focal length as well.
Beautiful. Love the colors.
Now his next shot, he took on location, took at another location close to where he works. He says, this is after work. Picture was more challenging. He says, I did also pan with my camera, but as the train is coming towards me, the effect is totally different. The whole picture is not sharp, but somehow it looks as if the front of the train would be sharp. This is an interregional train that normally is used to connect big cities and does only stop in major cities. He says maybe some of you have already seen a very, very, very short clip of this kind of train in the series The Big Bang Theory. There is a train that can be seen for a few milliseconds in the introduction. This is the Z8 as well with the same lens. And at 1/5 of a second this time, f4 ISO 180 and at the 14 millimeter focal length as well. I love the streaking. Just the streaking in the whole image is just so neat. You know, the buildings to the left, you know, the yellow and the green light, and yeah, it's just I really like this one quite a bit. It's really cool.
Yeah, I like the movement in the shots too.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's see. I think he's got a few more here. So this is, give me a second. So this one is, he managed to get an image, he says, where the main part of the train is sharp, but the background is blurred.
Yes.
Especially the light in the windows of the office building looks nice. But the train is so sharp that one can see the people looking at their smartphones. You can see the people in the windows. He says, also here, it's a part of a series of multiple shots. It takes a lot of luck to pan with the same speed like the train is moving. This one was a little easier as it was just leaving the train station and was not that fast at that moment in time.
Okay.
He says, maybe a note to the train. He says, this is one of the trains that connects the cities and villages around Zurich and belongs to the regional transport infrastructure. He says, we do not have subways, but we have these trains, trams, and buses. And once again, Z8, 14 to 30, 1/5 of a second, f4, ISO 1250 this time at 30 millimeters. And then he sent in one more image. So this is his last image here. And he says, this last picture is of a foreigner. This is a German high-speed train called ICE. Yeah, we have that abbreviation on something too. It's not a train. This train is rather fast and just passed by. So that's why it was not easy to take that picture. He says there is also not many of these passing by, maybe one an hour. He says, I'm happy that he was able to get that picture where you can read the name ICE, and people like Martin H., he says, will recognize this train even if it's blurry. He says, maybe this train was even coming from where Martin lives.
Yes.
Then the train would start from the far north of Germany and travel a little less than 9 hours to Zurich. And once again, the Z8 with the 14 to 30 f4, 1/8 of a second at f4, ISO 5600, and at the 14 millimeter focal length. And these are all really cool shots, Paul. We really appreciate you sending these in to us. And obviously, we all know Paul could take a lot more images than just underwater shots, right? I mean, we always, when he first started with the show, Gustavo and I would say, oh, you do underwater shots? Send in some underwater shots. And we've gotten so much more from him, over a year or so. And always very, very creative and interesting shots that he provides to us. His last comments here was that he hoped that he'll see some more creative trains, but unfortunately at this time of the year, it gets dark very early. He only had a few minutes to shoot that evening. He also hoped that a French TGV, which is their high-speed train, would pass by. He says, but if the train from Zurich to Paris was passing even later in the evening, and it would have been impossible to get a useful picture. So he says, Switzerland is an interesting country for train spotters. Besides the first picture, he was able to take all these pictures during lunchtime and in the evening, all in all, an hour and a half. And then he apologizes, which he doesn't need to do, for a long email message. And he wishes everybody a nice and inspiring photo review, and kind regards from the train country, Switzerland. So kind regards to you as well, Paul. We appreciate what you send us, and everybody really likes the images, I'm sure.
And all of them have great color too. The colors are very saturated and distinctive. Beautiful. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Paul, did you do much of anything to the images in post, or are these pretty much out of camera? Just curious. You have time to comment. And we'll go to the image that Real Nikon Lover sent us, that Jim sent us in. And
this picture on the bottom, you can see the arc from when he was panning the camera.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a great shot, Paul.
Yeah.
They're all good.
He says he did a lot of editing. You're supposed to lie once in a while and say, oh no, I mean, I'm just so good with the settings. It's perfect every time, but we appreciate your honesty, because I think we all sometimes do a lot more editing than we planned on, just the way things are. The next image here is from Jim, and this was the long shot, as I called it. He says it's been incredibly busy at his end. took advantage of a nearby mountaintop to take this photo following a fast-moving blizzard that blew through his beloved town in Tehachapi, California. And thankfully, he spelled it out how to say it so I wouldn't screw up Tehachapi, because otherwise I probably would have. He says the photo is of the Golden Hills area of the Tehachapi Valley, which is in the northwest side of the valley and looking west towards the Pacific Ocean, which is about 3 hours away by car. Says the downtown area of Tehachapi is at the apex of two adjoining valleys. The city of Mojave, at the Mojave Desert's western edge, is about 30 minutes southeast of Tehachapi. And to the northwest, about an hour away, is the city of Bakersfield. Hey, normal name, Bakersfield. I can handle that. Tehachapi town site sits at about 4,000 foot elevation, with a valley hosting approximately 55,000, a population of 55,000 people. It says the valley is a best kept secret, a real Shangri-La in California. The panoramic photo is comprised of 5 individual frames and stitched together using Microsoft ICE image composite editor. Equipment, the Z9 with the 24-120S lens at 51 millimeters, handheld photos, ISO 64, f20, 1/80th of a second, in aperture mode with auto white balance. Hey, great job, Jim. I mean, Jim's been working his behind off on his daughter's house. She had a flooding situation due to a pipe break, I believe, a while back, and caused a lot of damage to the house. And he's been fantastic with him and his wife, spending a lot of time there working on the house. And of course, they get to see he says the bonus is he gets to see the grandchildren. So he gets to take a break and see the grandchildren. So thanks so much for sending that in, Jim. He sent me some other photos, and I said, "You want me to use any of these?" He goes, No, they're not good enough." And they were fine, but I honored his request, and I just put this one in. The next set of images are going to be from Joe Stroud. He sent a fair amount of them, and Rakesh sent in some images, and then we close up with the handful that I put in. So we're going to go to Joe's. Give me a minute to on the cheat sheet here. So as I mentioned before, Joe said he hopes all is well with everyone. He said, and he mentioned he wasn't sure if he'd be able to make the show. He says, give everyone my best and look forward to seeing everyone's images. And he says, here's a few older images. He says, I hope the resolution is okay. He sent them from his phone. He just moved and he hasn't cranked up his computer yet. So this church was shot in North Dakota. And he says, and yes, it was as cold as it looks. It was in the negatives, but not sure. He says, cold. Shot with a Canon 5D Mark II with the 16-35 f4 IS lens. And this is that information is at the top here, 1/80th of a second at f16, ISO 100, 16 millimeter focal length. And I could tell him that my neighbor, my old neighbor who we go out to eat with every week, his stepdaughter lives in North Dakota, and they will get temperatures there that are in many times colder than what you have in Alaska. They'll get minus 45 or colder at times in Dakota. So if you want to go somewhere where I don't care what you're dressed like, you're probably going to be cold all the time, go to North Dakota. I know that I won't be there when it's cold. not my kind of weather. So his next shot, he took some. David, he took some of your. Maybe he called you up on this or whatever, but he took some aurora borealis shots. He was on the Canadian border of North Dakota and Canada, and this is his first shot that he sent in with that. And he says this was on the border, shot with the Canon 5D Mark II with the 16-35 f2.8 lens. And he says the image of the aurora with the road, he said this shot, he said, made the top 1,000 in the Wildlife Photography of the Year contest. And he says, with all the amazing images they must see every year, he says he got close to the top 100 with this image.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Then he sent
dangerous place to take a photo is the middle of the road.
Yeah. And then he sent in another image here, aurora shot.
Wow.
I don't have the information on this shot with the settings or anything, but that's cool. You know,
Very cool.
Put a nice foreground element in there in the shot. He let me see, find the next one here. He took this shot of some aspen trees. This was in Colorado, around the Telluride, with the Canon EOS 1N with the 20mm 2.8 USM lens on Fuji Velvia 50 film.
Yeah.
This is a film shot.
Great photo. Love
it. It's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. And then his next shot is you got this barred owl. He says this was around his home where he grew up in Louisiana with the Canon 5D Mark II with the 600mm f4 IS lens.
Nice photo. Very nice.
Yeah.
Love the light. It's very moody. Yeah.
Like, which is a problem. Who are you? Who?
Very nice light for the subject.
Yeah, fits the mood.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very easy to go and correct the temperature and balance it towards something warmer. But I think it worked very well.
Well, you bring up a good point, because sometimes you could take an image like this and you could create, well, at least two completely different looking images from it by changing your white balance, your color temperature, you know, and you'd probably end up liking them both, you know. And I'm saying, you know, if someone wanted it warmer, you can make it warmer, and I'm sure it would look really, really good. But it also looks good as shot, you know, the way he saw it. This is probably how he actually saw the image, I'm sure. And his last shot that he sent in here was a picture of a mule deer. And this was in Badlands National Park in South Dakota. And this was with the Canon 5D Mark II with the 600mm f4 lens as well. So I thank Joe for taking the time, especially he's just moved to send images in for us to enjoy. So really appreciate that, Joe. And hopefully when you get your computer set up, you can come back and watch the show and enjoy all the other great pictures that everybody else took. But thank you for what you sent in.
Yeah, great shot, Joe.
Good night, Nancy. Nancy's taken off, so good night to Nancy. And thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a while. We missed you.
I guess we can't call her NASA Nancy anymore.
Oh, now she's going to have to give us a different nickname to use.
Yeah, unless it's NASA Nancy retired.
Yeah, or maybe she'll find herself more tired being retired. We'll just call her Tired Nancy. The next three images here are from Rakesh. And let me get them up. And all these shots, the next three shots were taken with the Z7 II and the Z24-120 lens at a place called Little Egg Harbor Township in New Jersey.
Yeah, right.
So they all have a similar theme. So it's actually 4 images. I'm sorry, not 3. So this is one of 4.
That looks like ice.
Yes, that is ice. That is ice. That's neat.
Yes.
Good composition, Rakesh. And then he took a few more of the of those posts, the post type. It's cool to see the ring, like the ice ring around the posts. And you got the boat in this one too.
Yeah.
And then he took one more where he got a little closer to the pilings here.
Very nice.
You really see the outline of the ice. Oops. My fault.
I presume as the water or the tide changes or there is some water movement or they create those rings. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Excellent.
Really good. And then the last images here are from me. Unfortunately, you got to suffer through mine. Yeah. Do it on purpose. Usually, I can't follow up with the people that come before me. So I come at the end. I do cleanup. I play cleanup. But anyway, some of these are older images. They're not all new. Some are new, some are old. Kind of went through a handful here. So this is what time of year I wish it was here right now, where I could go to the Brookgreen Gardens and look for certain types of plants that where I could get an opportunity to get a tree frog. I have another image in the same general area with a lizard in it that I'll share at another time. But I said one picture in this with this background is good enough for tonight. So there's my. I didn't name the frog, so I'll let you guys name the frog. I don't think I put my settings aren't showing up, so I apologize. They should be showing up, but they're not. So I'm not going to try to guess what I shot it at, but I'm sure I was using the Z9. That's the predominant camera that I use most of the time. The next shot is at Huntington Beach State Park, and you have that saying, "Don't put your foot in your mouth." Well, here you go. I don't think the foot tastes too good. I don't know why you'd want to put your foot in your mouth, but it's good to see that I'm not the only one that puts my foot in my mouth. But
well, it's been a long time since I could put my foot in my mouth.
Yeah.
Can't bend over that far.
Yeah, I can't. My body isn't flexible enough to do that anymore. Then this was also the next shot here is of a time that I wish it was right now. Is I enjoy this time of year. at the Brook Green Gardens with the butterflies. And this is a eastern tiger swallowtail. And if I'm not correct, I'm sure somebody will correct me.
Beautiful.
But I believe that's what it is. Then this next one was at Huntington Beach State Park. This is the male green-winged teal. So this is the closest that I've ever been able to get a shot of this bird, and usually with these birds, you're getting butt shots. Let's put it that way. This year, the last 3 weeks have been great. Having an opportunity, early in the morning to be able to get shots of these birds, the males and the females. And the females do not have, they have the green feather, but the bodies are mostly tan or brown, and they don't have that green around the eye. So that's how you tell the difference between the two. And then I moved up to the North Beach area, the parking lot up at the north end of the park, and got a shot of this very proud osprey just hanging out. And on the drive from the parking lot where the causeway is, which I talk about all the time, and you saw the shots I took with the Viltrox where you could see the whole causeway, you could see the whole road coming in, and the marsh on the right. In the pictures that I took, the marsh was on the right, the pond was on the left. Well, the parking area, I walked the parking area through some trails, and then I had to walk back to it the other day, so I wore myself out pretty much. But on the way from one parking lot to the other, there's a section we call the boneyard where there's a whole bunch of dead trees, and it used to be that every day, if you went to that area, you would see ospreys in the trees eating fish. And the occurrences of being able to capture them diving for fish or eating fish has diminished a lot. I could drive up and down that road every time I'm there for a month and not see any ospreys anymore in the trees at all. So it's really, really disappointing. But this one was hanging up at the north end of the park. And then back to the causeway again was a female merganser, and I just like the more than the bird, I like the look of the water. I like the soft look of the water, and it just looks like it's flowing and kind of neat, I think.
Yes.
And then I got 2 osprey shots to show you. I had a series of osprey shots, and I think I mentioned it in a response to my last video. For those who may not have looked at it or what, I did a video where I shared images that I took at the park from I think I said it was June until the first week of January of this year. I haven't done a nature video in a long time. And but I'm going to try to get some video footage of, if I can, of ospreys, the whole process of diving and hitting the water and coming up with a fish. And I'm going to try to capture that on film. I've got, enough still images. So I'm going to test myself and try to. It'll be hard to do because lots of times the ospreys are far enough away where if I am shooting video, I'm shooting handheld with the 800 in DX mode with a 2.3 times crop, trying to video with a very small angle of view on an 800 millimeter lens, and then then I'm cropping it on top of it 2.3 times. It's going to be very, very hard to track and stay on the bird, but I am determined that I'm going to somehow manage to do that and get a reasonably good video at some point in time, and then of course I'll share it with everybody. But here's an osprey shortly after hitting the water, and then he kind of bared to the right and then started coming in my direction. And it may be hard for you to see on your screen, but what looks like water droplets, there is some blood in there. Some of those droplets have red in it. Wow. So blood from the fish off the talon. And then this last shot, I mean, he's really coming right at me. But they're, I really like ospreys a lot. I mean, I understand why. Mark Smith is very fortunate at Sebastian Inlet. I mean, he has, when you got a fish run going through there, I mean, you've got literally hundreds of opportunities at any given point in time to get the ospreys getting fish, and pelicans trying to get the ospreys even sometimes, and they come up with everything, sharks. And I have literally one picture that I'd have to dig through my archives, where I got a shot of an osprey in the sky, and it had a small shark.
Oh wow.
So I do have an osprey with the shark shot, but like I said, we all have different opportunities based on where we live, and Mark Smith obviously has a million opportunities with ospreys, and you all know, I'm sure, that he came out with an osprey book probably a couple years ago that I think he did had it funded, got contributions, to get it published. And good for him. I mean, he was able to capitalize on what nature offered him in his location. So that's great. But that's it for all our images. So what I'm going to do is what we always do, and I'm going to start at the beginning and show each image for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then we will have a little bit of a talk and wrap things up. So we're going to start off here. So this was the first set of images that Terry sent in.
Wow.
I'm going to go back so I remember whose shots all these shots were. These are Woody's shots that we're seeing now. Oops. So he sent in 3, and then these are Bob's from Bob Our Photos. Our friend the Otter. Yeah, I had one that I wouldn't show anybody because it grossed me out. So if it grossed me out, I didn't want to gross anybody else out.
Very good.
These are shots from Anita. Wonderful shots, wonderful landscape shots. See, David, she couldn't convince the man upstairs to not have a windy day so that you'd have a glass look on the water.
There wasn't much wind there. I'm sure if you had waited a half an hour, it would have been better. But
yeah.
Beautiful.
There's that big pigeon again.
In southern Alberta, there's always wind.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out who's. Oh, this was another shot from Anita. I didn't think it was hers. I guess this was another Anita shot that we didn't see. So now you get to see it.
We skip that one.
Well, you know what? For some reason I didn't write it down like it was her shot, and I thought I screwed up, but I did. But I mean, it is her shot. I didn't think it was, but it is.
Yeah, it says so on the bottom.
Wood duck.
Yep, Anita Stewart.
Yeah.
It's got 3 feet too.
Then we've got Joe Dixon. Shot from Joe. Let me scroll ahead here. This is a neat shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this is the one that you can use your imagination and think the wrong way.
Those are nice shoes.
Yeah.
Probably feel like hell though.
And then these were Jeff's shots. Abbey Road shot. Yeah, a bunch of us guys where our dream is to catch one of these flying over the marsh grasses and coming towards us like right over the grasses. We don't ask for much, fly at us, come over the grass and have a bird. They like to eat small birds that are in the grass. Have a food item in your mouth as you come fly towards us, and then we'll be happy. We just want to capture that image. We're not asking for much. And this was, as he corrected me, a sunset shot, not a sunrise shot.
For all there isn't much difference except for the time of day.
Yeah. Well, you might have had maybe when the sun comes up, you probably tend to have a little bit warmer colors, I think.
Not here.
But
It can be both the same.
not the same.
The big difference, other than the time of day, is the direction of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are Gustavo's images. Where's Z-Wade when you need him? Pigeon. See, now the next shot, he wouldn't get away with saying pigeon. That wouldn't work.
That's a long-snouted pigeon, the one before this one.
But nobody know what he would do. He'd go pigeon, unicorn, and then he'd go pigeon.
That pigeon, that unicorn looks like a male.
And then we got these very cool shots that came up from Martin that Martin sent in of the sea lions and the pups. Yeah, I mean, based on what he got, and he says he thought he was only there like 4 times. I'd be there like all the time. weather permitting, of course. It sounds like the weather doesn't always cooperate.
This goes to prove that the 800 is a portrait lens.
Yeah. And then this was the next series of shots with the Z5, with the modified Z5 that Terry took. Full spectrum with an IR filter on the camera. This one to me would be, in terms of a nice frame shot, you know, that wouldn't take up a lot of room on the wall. This would be a really nice image.
Terry says that he has this on the wall already.
Ah. And then we got Randall's shots, reflection in the bird bath after snow. And with his experimenting with different lenses on different camera bodies and with different adapters. And then he took this just so he would know what time he took the shots. And then you have to have proof that there is snow in Texas.
Maybe he just used Terry's IR camera.
Yeah. And then a nice indoor shot. And then we run into Mr. Stewart's images. Now, we were talking on the phone earlier, David, and I think you mentioned that the festival runs for about 7 to 10 days, something like that.
It does in China.
In China,
here it's on
Photo.
separate weekends.
David's photo.
This was more of a military style costume that she was wearing.
Okay.
And this is a friendly lion. He only takes little bites. One arm at a time.
Gums you to death. and this is like, if it was Friday, I'd say this is your Freaky Friday photo, but it's not Friday. So it's your Freaky Saturday photo.
Yeah, haggis is good if you get from the right place. Yeah.
And then you got your train. It must be nice to have a train as a personal toy, huh? Oh, I just happen to have a train at my house that I had built special for me.
And the thing is, he needs a siding to store the train on that's attached to the main line. Because for him to get it home, he's got to go down the main line through the UK. And I don't know where his home is, but with this, but York is a long ways from Scotland.
And then you took a series of 3 images with 3 different cameras. We got image number 1. I think image number 2 you said was with a phone.
Yep.
And then you got image number 3. And then we have Mr. Bixby's overly large rabbits that he gets in his yard. And then Princess Diana stopped at his house but had her hair dyed. This guy, I guess we'll just call him the Nutcracker.
The black pigeon.
The black pigeon. Yeah. So, hey, Roy, do people illegally export these birds for pets?
They do. They're very popular in smuggling.
Yeah.
There's a guy that tried to smuggle budgies in his underwear. They've been called budgie smugglers ever since.
Oh man, that's not a place to put a bird with sharp beaks and sharp claws in your underwear. That's the stupid of the year award goes to that guy.
Agreed.
And then we got Luis's pictures, monitor lizard. And then we got some drone shots, drone stitched shots from Joey. That's just for the drone shots, though. I think this one, he said he had a ND filter on his camera. And then we got Scuba Rozzi's train images.
I like the paint schemes on the locomotives. Or the,
yeah,
or
it's
the
so
train,
many different kinds of trains that go through there too. I mean, he gets a wide assortment, which is neat.
Every company probably has their own color scheme.
Yeah. And then we got Jim's Pano.
Yeah, this is in Mexico, Mexican America.
And then we have Joe Stroud's images here. North Dakota. If you want to go and not feel your body parts, go there in the wintertime. You got to be a hardy person to be able to handle the cold. Like David goes out in it all the time. Where it's, I mean, I don't think I could do it for long. Could have when my body was used to New England temperatures, but once you get down south, boy, it really, all of a sudden you get cold quick, and you're like, what's happening? This is nothing, and I'm cold. I shouldn't be cold, but how it works.
This is great moody shot.
Yeah.
So is this one.
Yeah. Then we got Rakesh's shots in the ice. And then we'll just fly through mine here. And that's it. And that's it. So let me stop the screen sharing here and get it so that we can finally, at least finally, I could see everybody, which I know now I remember what everybody looks like.
Thank you, guys. Excellent.
Everybody for sending in your images as always. It's great when we get. I mean, I think this was probably the second highest total that we had. I think one show we had maybe 100 or 101, and we had 91 tonight, which is fantastic. And hey, I don't mind if I had 200, I'd stay up and I would do 200 shots. But you didn't hear me say that. But I would.
So two things here, Jeff. First, next photo review is March 1st.
Yeah.
So we'll keep reminding people, and also next week we go back to Chuck's channel.
Absolutely. So remember, we'll put up the reminder ahead of time, and I don't care if you start send them to me tomorrow if you want to. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, I have them all on my desktop and I move them around. Blah blah blah. You know the story. You don't got to go into that. And then tomorrow they'll all be gone. So I'll have a clean slate on my desktop, so you can start sending me images whenever you want. And I don't get hung up if they're bigger than the 2048. I mean, that's nice if you can do it, but if you got some image that really has a pop to it and you want to have it higher res, feel free to send it. And I don't get too hung up if you want to send. If you send more than 4, I'm not going to spank you because I don't mind. I mean, I think we like seeing each other's images, and you want to send me 6 or 7, send me 6 or 7. You know, whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't send me 25, but you know, with a few more than the norm is not an issue. And like Gustavo says, remind everybody to same time but different channel to switch back to Chuck AP Studios for Chuck Talks next Saturday at 9 p.m. And you'll have many of the same cast of characters on the panel with Chuck, and show some love and show up for that. And you know, as usual, I mean, I could just sit here and say thank you a million times because I get more. I'm fortunate enough because you're funneling them into me where I get to see them full screen on my computer, which unfortunately I can't do when I'm showing them to you guys, but I get to see really the intricate details of these shots when they come into me, and they're amazing. They really, really are. And it'll be nice when NASA Nancy or whatever nickname we want to give her gets her 400 and starts getting some images from that, and hopefully shares them with us, and we get a few more from some other people. We love them. Guys, you got any comments on any of the images you saw tonight, or any that stick out in your mind that you want to have hanging on your wall right now?
I still need to figure out what the hell Terry photographed with that beach.
Well, what I was thinking was to reflect. It had water in the cracks, and it was just reflection of the sunlight, or the gold part.
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was amazing.
It was amazing. I'm
sticking to my story that those are alien eggs. I've seen that picture before. Let's put it that way. I've seen that picture before because I'm a sci-fi and horror guy. So I've seen that image before, and it wasn't very nice what came out of it. But so anyway, yeah, I mean it was all great, and we get a good variety, and it's nice to see and Scubarazzi entertaining us with trains versus sea life, was definitely a treat. It's funny. I don't think of Switzerland. I think of Switzerland. I think of the Alps. And I think of skiing. I don't necessarily think of trains. And he's right. I mean, they got a huge train system there, and it didn't even pop in my head. Really, I'm just always thinking of people going there to ski and everything. But
yeah, he's got some lovely bird photography too in his videos with the birds.
Roy, you want to send that to me?
Sure.
You got it? Got it handy? Send it. Email it to me, and I'll share it. Roy says he has a photo of a piano that went wrong. A piano that went wrong. It turned into a piano. I don't know.
I'm out here.
I'm sharing it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Give me a second. I went to my email. And
I found the name of those rocks, by the way.
Okay.
here's a piano.
That's what goes wrong when you do a pano.
Wow.
It looks good.
It wasn't meant to. It just propped up.
Just by the windows, right?
At least you got the front view of the bird.
True.
It could have been worse.
Anyway,
Did you shoot that wide open, Roy?
just about. I was set up for pano, and he just shoved his head up.
Lovely photo.
Yeah.
All right, buds. I'm going to bed.
We
Have
are
a good night, Chuck. See you next week.
Yep.
Next week. You've got some days to rest until you start again.
Yeah, next week we're going to be talking about all the photo stuff that's going down right now. So we'll talk there, and then I don't know what we're going to talk about. So hey,
You're
everybody,
going to have some sample cat photos to show us?
yeah, there's one.
Sample cat photos.
Yeah. But I'm going to get out of here.
There you go. All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right, Chuck.
You have a good one.
Stay warm.
Yeah. Stay warm. Yeah. New England. Don't miss it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I miss parts of it. I mean, I miss the fall. That's what I miss the most. I miss the changing of the leaves. I miss the fall quite a bit. I don't miss the winter. Although here I don't exactly love the summer. It gets too brutally too humid here. It gets too humid. I like it from middle of February, like March through mid to end of June, and then forget about July and August and about half of September, and then like the second half of September until early December is really nice too. So, but there are
Fussy.
Yeah, I'm fussy. I'm getting old and crotchety and grumpy. But we're going to call it a night, everybody. And I thank all you guys on the panel for, coming in again. As always, we'll make you bigger here, and appreciate your time and your contributions to the photos. I thank everybody in the chat for taking time out of their night to come in and watch this. And, hopefully you get inspired by what other people take, and it gets you to want to try something different. I mean, that's kind of what I hope out of it too. You know, when you see the train shots and you go, gee, you know, I haven't taken a picture of a train in 20 years. You know, go out and take some train photos. Practice your panning, right? Go out and take some pictures of, do some panning of some cars at the racetrack. Gustavo knows about that. And you know, and then if you're in an area where you're lucky enough to see the aurora borealis, go try and get some aurora borealis shots, and you know, do some panoramic shots if you haven't done a pano in a long time, which I haven't done. I mean, I should try to do that. I don't have any. Well, I guess you could do stitching in Photoshop. I don't know if you could do stitching in Lightroom or not. I don't think so.
But in Photoshop for sure. Because, yeah,
In Photoshop for sure, but I don't think you could do it in Lightroom. You'd have to have like a plug-in. I think you'd have to have like a plug-in software package that's in Lightroom. Works with Lightroom.
You can do it in Bridge.
You can do it in Bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, the aurora is supposed to be, or there's a very good chance the aurora is going to be very good in the next couple of days. And if you have a clear sky, I would watch for it. And as luck would have it, whenever the aurora is good, it's snowing or raining here. Yeah, and like I haven't even bothered to get out there, look at the weather first, and it really ticks me off to get 20 aurora alerts and have snow out there or rain or something, you know. And anyway,
next couple of days, correct?
Yeah, it's Tamasco had a special video out because of stuff that she noticed that's coming from the sun, and she doesn't agree with NASA and NOAA again, which is normal. But an awful lot of these forecasts, I say there's something like teenagers on a first date, and you got to take it with a grain of salt, you know, because they're always, you know. Anyway, but if you're not out there, you're going to miss it for sure.
Is it sharper down under as well, or just up top near Canada?
It's usually both at the same time. Yeah, and yeah, it's Matt Irwin got some aurora shots, and he had a video, and I was mentioning some things that to do for better next time, you know. But for you, Roy, I think a 28 or 1.8 would be a good lens to start, and that is a lens I carry with me all the time because for the aurora, I like to fill the frame vertically, and if it's and now I'm going to shorter stuff because the aurora is better at the moment and it fills more of the sky. But I've shot it with 2.8 glass too, and you know, you just need a longer exposure. But it's with your 2.8 glass, sometimes it'll get all hazy. It just looks muddy, you know, and that's why I like to get f2 or faster. So that's my aurora dissertation for now. You know.
I thought the first thing that you said to Matt Irwin was, "You got to come to Canada, man."
Yeah. Well, it's the magnetic North Pole up until a couple of years ago was in Canada, so we didn't have to be as far north in Canada to see it as they have to be in Europe. You know, and it was our advantage. And if we can go to a place like Yellowknife, and any clear night, you can see the aurora there. You know, not in the summertime, but well, they don't get darkness in the summertime up there. But this time of the year, it's every night, and you don't have to worry about the full moon because I've got aurora shots with a full moon in them. You know, and I put it in one of your photo reviews. You know.
Where's the North Pole now? Over Russia or?
Yeah, it's heading that way.
Yeah.
But I think the truth be known that there's more than one. There's like a major one and some minor ones. You know, but when you get a magnet, it's all it's affected a little bit by the mineralogy in the ground. If you get a bunch of iron in one place, it'll move it, or it'll affect it. So just like any other magnet.
A lot of talk about the pole's going to swap.
Yeah, that's going to take a long time though. It won't be our lifetime. You know, but it's swapped quite a few times before.
Every 1,000 years.
It's longer than that.
Is it?
Yeah, it's much longer than that. You know, and
More like 100,000.
pardon?
More like 100,000.
Well, I would say between 100,000 and a million, because they've got places where they've with the raw mineralogy in the ground that they can tell it. But
I got to call tonight, guys. My dog's got to go out, and
okay,
and she's getting antsy, so she's like ready to chew my leg off, I think. But everybody have a great rest of the night, and get out there and shoot. Have a good time. We'll see you on March 1st, and don't forget Chuck next Saturday night on his channel, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Chuck Talks, AP Studios, and we will see you a month from now. And you got plenty of time to get some fresh images to me, and start sending them out.
we got a whole month. The answer to Terry's question is Thursday is too far out to predict.
All right.